Disney had about a 30, 40-year run of just being absolutely pristine. They just had such a good reputation. Almost everything they put out there was really high quality. It was a company that you could trust with your children. And that says a lot about the trust that parents had, that the brand had established with families across not only America, but really the world. Disney was the go-to brand when it came to children's programming. That has not been the case for quite some time. There's something wrong at the core of Disney. I think we've seen that exposed over the past couple of years. I think we all saw the behind the scenes teleconferences where they're talking about their queer agenda and all that stuff and pushing it basically into kids programming that is rated G, intended for children of the ages of like 3 to 9 years old. Just really strange stuff. We knew that change needed to be made and it needed to come up top. Bob Chapek did not appear like he was going to get the job done. So I think a lot of people were somewhat excited when you find out Bob Chapek is fired. He's no longer going to be the CEO of Disney. But then you learn that the guy that's replacing him is the man that screwed everything up to begin with. Maybe Bob Iger learned from his mistakes. Maybe he's had an opportunity to step back, see what happened under his leadership at Disney that obviously pushed through under Chapek that he couldn't fix, and really go in there and tackle some of the problems and get back to being the number one family brand in the world. That is not going to happen. During an internal question and answer held between himself and Disney employees on November 28th, the CEO would confirm that diversity, inclusion, and LGBTQ content are here to stay at Disney. It's going to be a core focus of the brand moving forward. There's a lot of interesting stuff in here. I could probably talk about his question and answers regarding all the stuff and the woes that are happening at Disney and the things that he will not fix now that he's back in charge as the CEO. I could talk about this probably for like 2 or 3 hours. I will have to distill it down to what I can and try to keep this as short as possible. There's a lot of dishonesty here, and I definitely want to talk about this. When he was asked whether or not Disney will stay out of making political statements under his tenure, this is what Bob Iger had to say. I think there's a misperception here about what politics is. I think some of the subjects that have been proven to be controversial as it relates to Disney have been branded political, and I don't necessarily believe they are. I don't think that when you are telling stories and attempting to be a good citizen of the world, that that's political. It sounds like Bob Iger's first position as the new CEO, once again, of Disney is to bury his head in the sand and act like what's happening at Disney isn't actually happening at Disney, and it's not considered political what they're doing with their content in today's current environment. We all know that is not true. Bob Iger knows that is not true. In fact, the things that are being pushed into the Disney content out there that are turning families off to the brand left and right are happening because, in fact, they are political. They are being pushed into kids' content because they are considered political, and it's happening on the inside of Disney. We've actually seen this. There are leaders within that company that think it is their job to indoctrinate children into different lifestyles and stuff like that. And I think people should be aware of all the things happening in the world in due course, when it is appropriate for their age. But they want to bring the age range down to like 5 years old because they want, well, I'll use the word, I guess they want to be groomers and stuff like that. That is what they are doing within Disney. And that is 100% political in today's climate. There are people being voted out of office because of decisions like this every single day. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's seen the school board meetings where people being called to task, being called out by hundreds of parents every single week, it seems like, across America. It's 100% political. Bob Iger knows this, but he's just going to pretend like it doesn't exist. And he's going to pretend like it's not one of the real issues at Disney at this moment because they're just being good citizens. They're not trying to groom your children. They're just being good citizens of the world because your kids need to know about sexual orientation when they're 4 years old now, according to Disney, which was once the number one family brand in the world. Later on, he said, this company has been telling stories for 100 years, and those stories have had a meaningful, positive impact on the world. And one of the reasons that they've had a meaningful, positive impact is one of our core values is inclusion, acceptance, and tolerance. And we can't lose that. We just can't lose that. I think about Black Panther and the impact that had on the world, or a film like Coco. I could go on, how we actually changed the world for the good must continue. The idea that Disney has changed the world for the better. They've just made positive impacts left and right with their movies. It's laughable. What has Disney done with their entertainment brand that has changed the world? Sure, they upped the ante when it came to like storytelling within animation, But that's improving entertainment, not exactly going out there and making a world of difference. There's a reason they're a publicly traded company, and there's a reason when they talk about finances, they talk about the billions of dollars, and they do not go out and give those billions of dollars away. They're out there to feed the engine, the capitalistic engine that is Disney, because they are a company first and foremost. The idea that Black Panther changed the world, it was a popular movie. Yes, people enjoyed it, and yes, it did galvanize some people for a few weeks. But 3 weeks later, what impact on the world did Black Panther have? It made a lot of money, so Disney's bottom line got better. But whose life did it make better? But to act like Disney's entertainment brand and the movies that they've created or their theme parks have gone out there and just changed the world in mass is absolutely ridiculous, and certainly gives you an idea about the ego of Bob Iger himself and the people behind Disney on what their impact is on the world, which is virtually nil. Once you walk out of the movie, maybe you like it. Maybe you can remember it a few years later when you hear a song, but does it really change your life? Absolutely not. They are a fucking entertainment company. They make entertainment for children and families, and they've dropped the ball left and right, but they will never actually come out and realize that. You are no longer the most trusted brand in family entertainment anymore because you've decided that you need to change the world rather than entertain the world. They've certainly dropped the ball in storytelling left and right. The last real innovation we had out of Disney was probably Toy Story, and that was Pixar, right? They were the production company. Disney just distributed or whatever. So it's not like they've been really innovative lately. Oh, wow, you've taken old stories that people love, like The Lion King, bastardize them, say they're live action, even though every single scene in the movie is fucking animated, at least digitally. It's another animated movie. It just sucks compared to the original, and then sold it back to people for 2 or 3 or 4 times more money without ever giving them anything innovative, anything new. They've done none of that stuff. They don't care about quality, storytelling, none of that stuff. They certainly don't care about decency when it comes to audience members as young as 5 years old, as far as I'm concerned. And it just feels like other parents feel the same way. Also stated during the Q&A, when you tell stories, there's a delicate balance. You're talking to an audience, but it's also important to listen. It's important to have respect for the people that you're serving and not have disdain for them. We're certainly not going to lessen our core values in order to make everyone happy all the time. So it's complicated, and there's a balance. I think we can all agree that they've certainly given up their core values of decency, storytelling, and quality, throwing them out the window so they can push ahead the political agendas within the leadership of Disney Corporation at this time, and acting like they listen to the audience these days. People have been telling them, screaming from the rooftops, that they're tired of this stuff in Disney itself. There are other brands out there where this stuff kind of pretty much works. It kind of fits into their brand. But when you're the number one family brand and families lose confidence in your brand, sure, they might keep that Disney Plus subscription, but they're not going to go to the theater. They're not going to go out there and spend that $5,000 to $8,000 a year to go to your theme park. And they're not going to trust Disney and their creative teams with their children unsupervised anymore. I cannot let my kids go and watch a Disney product without checking it out first. I learned that the hard way once again with Strange World. And as I mentioned earlier in the week, if I had known exactly what was going to be in Strange World from the beginning, we just wouldn't have gone to the movies. But you know what? I made a mistake. I decided it's Disney, right? It's a holiday movie. They wouldn't go out and intentionally mess this one up too. And of course they did it once again. And nothing is going to change under Bob Iger. It's only going to get worse. All the things that are killing Disney today, whether it be the trust in the brand itself from families, all those issues started under Bob Iger. All the things that are killing Disney when it comes to the corporate structure and the way that they were investing into streaming and ended up causing them billions and billions and billions of dollars, that all started under Bob Iger itself. So it's only going to get worse. He's going to double and triple down. He's already stated it. They are going to ignore, not listen to their customers. They're going to forsake being the number one family entertainment brand in the world because they need to push the agenda. They need to start creating Disney content for a modern audience, which means your kids are at risk and families are going to continue jumping off the Disney bandwagon, and they're just not going to trust the company anymore. There's no way any of this gets fixed under Bob Iger. I wanted to be optimistic, but the man has spoken. He has told us exactly what he's going to do. It's only going to get worse for the future of Disney and family entertainment. Currently, Disney are losing billions upon billions of dollars because they decided they need to be a lifestyle brand, i.e., they need to go out there and push alternative lifestyles rather than go out and do wholesome entertainment. We've talked about this. This is why Bob Chapek was fired. But really, this is Bob Iger's issue. This is all broken down right here. They want to be a lifestyle brand. They don't want to be a family entertainment brand anymore. That's why they're dying. Definitely check this out if you don't see it here. There's also a link in the video description.